Good morning, everyone. Good morning, YouTube and traders. Today is Friday, February 10th, and we have not too much news that came out pre-market, right? There's not too much news going into today, but we did get a pretty drastic drop yesterday in the market that we were talking about as well, seeing if they could sell it off. If any buyers could step in, wasn't really the case. It was a weak bid pretty much throughout the whole day, and that's what we were mentioning in our group yesterday, with a lot of potential shorts that were panned out. Now, there's a few different things, right? We do have the Super Bowl coming up. That's nothing of interest to me personally. If you guys are into that, that's great, but it's not really market related. But there's slight things to talk about. There's not really that much. We have the UK, right? The UK just dodged a technical recession, right? Partly due to bumper sales at pubs during the World Cup in November and December. It's not out of the woods yet, naturally, but like many parts of Europe, higher energy bills following Russia's invasion of Ukraine have weakened household spending, though things have been better in recent months due to an unusual warm winter and government price caps. So business investment has also flatlined since Brexit, and the number of workers in the labor pool has shrunk since COVID-19. In fact, among G7, the UK has recorded the weakest recovery since the pandemic, and while the Bank of England doesn't expect a recovery to its pre-COVID peak until 2026, the domestic stock market continues to hit record highs, which is very interesting. So we'll see in Europe, right, as the ECB continues with their monetary policy, as the UK continues with their monetary policy, how that kind of shapes up in comparison to what we see in the US. The US naturally holding a tighter policy. And that's one thing that we should mention, is that next week is a very, very crucial number, even after a lot of this downside. A lot of traders do think that a lot of this downside coming in is an opportunity into the CPI report, which is coming out next week, I believe on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. That might be a lie, but it's coming out at some point next week, which we're going to cover as well. We're going to trade it live. But a lot of people are expecting a continued flat or a continued topping out of inflation data, meaning inflation to be dropping, and that report is to be expected to be more of a drawdown, which in turn will be very, very bullish for this market, as that's what we're watching with the Fed and how they react based on that. Now, Russia also responds to it also had a response in crude oil, right? WTI crude futures, they pumped 2.5% overnight to regain the $80 level per barrel. And that's when Russia said it will cut oil output by 500,000 barrels a day next month, right? Brent futures climbed 2.4% to 86.50 a barrel, and Moscow said the output decrease, which is around 5% of its production, was in response to sanctions such as price caps on crude and oil products, and that are an intervention in the market's relations and an extension of destructive energy policies of the collective West. So it'll also deepen the 2 million barrel per day curbs announced last year by OPEC Plus, and comes as Russia is prepared to open up a fresh offensive in Ukraine ahead of the 1 year anniversary, which started the 24th of February, which is in a few weeks now. So we're going to see how crude shapes up. I was expecting crude to be a bit higher this winter, but of course, warmer winter energy prices, the reopening with China, was expecting to see some kind of pump from that as well, but haven't seen that much of bullishness yet in the oil market. In terms of other news, there's not really too much to talk about. So let's talk about what's going on with the market, what happened yesterday. Yesterday, we had a pretty drastic drawdown overall, as we rejected some of the tops of the distribution yet again. And once we slinked back under 4160, which is the original top of the distribution, right, it can shift as more volume trades in different areas. But once we slinked back down that level, it was pretty much priced in yesterday. What we noticed throughout the morning session was a very weak bid, very, very weak bid on every rally, which was increasingly dropped off by larger sellers, prompting us to look for a little more downside right now. Did I think we'd break the distribution lows of 41.05? I did slightly. I was looking at the 92 area as a target if we started really pumping down, and we got even below that. Right now, we traded down to about 40.60 with a little pop, like a 15-point pop off of that area. Now, what we have to see today is that right now, what we're sitting at on the S&P 500 futures market is we're below a distribution block that starts at 40, 92-ish, 95. Once we enter that distribution block, realistically, sellers are going to try and hold price in that area. The bottom of this distribution block is 40.24. Now, it's a very large difference. There are about 70 points of difference. So the reality of it is, when we're in a distribution block like that and a thick volume, the sellers are going to continuously try towards the tops of the distribution block to see if they can get price lower. So I'm looking at the 83, 84 area on the S&P to see if there's any sellers that come in through that area, and then finally the 92 to 95 region to see if they can hold that distribution block. I think there could be a little more downside before they start picking this up, especially into that CPI data, but I would be targeting the 40, 48 region, right, as a key support, and then 40, 30 under that. See those two levels if they can get rebid today if we get there, right? So I want to see a little more movement today. I want to see a little more volatility to wrap up the week. It is Friday. I hope everyone had an amazing week. We had an amazing week in the trading room, both futures and options. So we want to continue that move, and check us out at TradeProAcademy.com. We do have a free membership that you can sign up for on the website to check out what we do offer. So with that being said, I hope everyone has an amazing weekend and gets ready for next week ahead. So I'll see you guys on Monday. Thank you for watching, and a shorter update. I'll see you then. VIXI Forex trading. I do not do this. We don't really have any Forex trading at TradePro Academy. I'm not really into that currency stuff. I like to see order flow based on futures and options. So that's kind of what I lean towards. So with that being said, take care, everyone, and we'll see you on Monday.